Hello, I'm Flamingo Writer here because I talk about stuff that need to be talked about. And welcome back to another edition of Magical Girl Month. Now, like I said before, today we're going to be looking at one of the darker Magical Girl shows out there. And honestly, that's pretty alarming to say. The reason why I say this is because most Magical Girl shows tend to have one thing. They're usually lighthearted in some places here and there. But honestly, though, I think the biggest thing about magical girls, at least to me, is that they are sometimes afraid to go to the dark approach. And while I admit, yes, this is someone who doesn't mind the light approach, I can also say that with confidence that dark approaches can work in magical girl shows. It worked in occasional setbacks here and there, but the thing is, dark magical girl shows don't usually happen that often. And if they do, they usually work into only things that could have been better off without it, though. So I was gonna take a look at Magical Girl Site, which was a series that was too edgy for its own good, though. No, seriously, if you watch that series, you wouldn't know what I'm talking about. But that said, however, I've always enjoyed magical girl shows that do take a dark approach if it's executed pretty well. If you've seen something like, say, hey, Princess Tutu or something like that, you already know the gist of it right there. And honestly, that's really what it is for me, though. I mean, yeah, Princess Tutu started the dark approach, but I think it was more cuddly and cute than say dark approaches happen for that only that series alone, though. So when I sat down to watch a series that act characters, but it's cutesy in a way that just says it'll come at you and bite you in the gas. So as such, let's talk about Madoka Magica. Madoka Magica is one of those shows that's been on my list for magical girl shows for a while years ago when I started doing magical girl show. I was binging right at that time though. And unlike a lot of magical girl shows that I've watched so far, I think this one may be the one for my list right now. To say this had didn't have that many episodes near, though there were a lot of things you can definitely say it had a lot of things with it though. Madoka Magica proved successful enough to show a lot of popularity, but honestly though, for despite how a short amount of runtimes can watch though, and despite having its own few characters, you're probably asking yourself if you haven't seen the series, how could it be so dark? Well, let's take a look at it and find out. This is Madoka Magica. Now, before you say anything, the first scene when you watch the series for yourself, which I had to binge through again yesterday just to watch through there, is that this series starts you off with a girl with pink pigtails by the name of Madoka, who will be our main protagonist, who seems to be running away from something. As such, though, she stumbles upon by seeing some kind of mysterious girl who seems to be trying to stop something from getting destroyed and such, though. So somehow a very strange little mascot comes along the way just to help her out. But the only way to help out is if she becomes a magical girl herself, though. As such, though, the series itself decides to cut out of the dream sequence and provides from there, though. From there, the series itself arises from both Sayaka, her best friend, and Hitoshi, her best friend, as they go off to school, though. And the first thing we do see when they go into the classroom is that and Sayaka's teacher somehow tells them about an egg, which is not relevant for what you're about to see. But after that, however, we do get to see the same girl that appeared in Madoka's dream. This eh, eh, is a new student here, though, and as such, though, she doesn't seem like she has a lot going for her as well, though. And her name is Hamaru. Yeah, Humura. Yeah, Humura, I mean. I'm sorry, I'm bad with my Japanese names. Can you tell? And also, while the plot still progresses from there, though, it's here where we see that she seems to be pretty good at a lot of stuff from her classes and all that stuff to the point where Saya thinks that she is a total freak, whereas Madoka feels like she's met her some time in a dream. Of course, Sayaka doesn't take her seriously, so that's to be expected from someone like that. You really want to say you expect her to be an anime character that you see in a dream, then chances are I'm probably up there with that. No, not the kind you think, but still. And I think it's only fitting if we actually go to the next scene where somehow Madoka, while still with her best friend, happens to stumble. on some music shop to just start at the time though. Of course, Madoka, when she hears someone say "help me," it's here where we see that someone's calling her for help, but doesn't know where the help is coming from until much time though. Until later on, though, we do see that this mascot character, Cube, happens to be the character that always wants help out with girls to become magical girls, though. Humura, being reluctant, though, says to get rid of Cube, because if not, there's going to be some kind of repercussions, though. Until another measure than the other two, though. And as such, though, this is another magical girl by the name of Mommy. I'm sorry, but the name Mommy always makes me think I'm just calling for my mom. Anyone else get that feeling? I mean, yeah, it's spelled like the Spanish term Mommy, but you get what I mean, though. Anyways, Mommy decides to bring Madoka and Sayaka to her place to have some tea, though. And as such, though, she has to tell them about all the stuff that's been happening, though, of what's been going on so far, though. But as luck would have it, though, seems like these weird monsters seem to have a lot of things going for it as well, though. As you can tell from there, though, it seems like we're probably getting around this time, though, but we don't know for sure what's been going on, though, with these monsters that come around here. See, their monsters are really something that's called witches, or in this case, when Magical Girl does feel corrupted or some kind of hatred, they are known as witches. And from there, they do whatever they can to have their own wish. That's say in the soul gem. The soul gem itself is not something that appears to be something out of luck, though. See, you put your soul gem in there and just make a wish out of it, though. But the wish itself is only for you to make, and just think carefully while doing so already, though. See, this series itself has a lot of things going for it in 12 episodes, so I apologize if I have to put a long summary onto what would have it, though. I actually don't mind change when it comes to that, though. You would think that for a series like this one, it would have to be something like this to make sure that the balance gets off of it. But honestly, what really sets the things off for me is also how this animation looks. The animation is done by Studio Shaft, but I'm not really familiar with a lot of their works. Or if I have, I just have never either seen them or just never got a chance to watch them yet. And I couldn't tell either way though. But I do know that they have co-opted with the studio of itself with something like, hey, this series of the world ends with, yeah, the scene, not the world ends with you. Let's see, this ugly yet beautiful world. And honestly, though, while I don't want to say that this series is known for having just that series because they collab with the studio Gainax, but I really want to say that this series in itself does more than what could have been, though. But honestly, though, what makes me say this series a lot more than what could be, though, is the fact of how much the series was, I guess, to grow on you. I think it's about episode 3 where you start realizing that this series is not everything it appears to be at first glance, though. I mean, yeah, we do see that in the previous episodes beforehand, but it's really here where we do get to see that these girls, whoever become magical girls, have something into them that make them become witches or anything to judge by, though. And honestly, as much as I don't want to further grasp on the animation, though, I have to say the monster designs in this year's series, well, nowadays at it. Back then, I didn't think there was much to them until I started watching the series for myself, though. Until, oh yeah, this series does do that in a lot of ways, though. I think what really sets things about the series, though, is how much this series does draw you in, though. Like, the monsters themselves are what really got to me. But season, and while this is mostly the only season that's actually got with these here 5 girls, well, I say 5 girls, but right now I talked about how it's what's going on though. It's really here where we have to say that there's more to it than what meets the eye, though. Of course, there's the other side of that when you realize that after Mommy's been defeated, after getting devoured by one of the monsters, hey, little girls, you want to see one of your favorite magical girls get eaten? There's a series for that. But it's also worth pointing out that while the series does have that, though, I really can't say in myself they would have done so. I could have sworn I saw a clip where they actually have shown something like this though, but I can't really be certain because this is definitely the case where the series the show does have that though. So we got a magical girl show that has these monsters, and as such, they do such horrible and discriminating things to balance out the witches and all that. So what about the characters? Well, despite mommy being really kind and just shows that she's really confident, though, it's really shown that she can be a little more than what could be though. Like she's only doing this because she doesn't like to show her weak side to the girls. As for the others, well, they're not always what they appear to be, though. While Madoka herself does seem like she's that kind of girl that wants to fight back, though, she doesn't really have the audacity to do so until much later, though. And honestly, it's really, it's really shaking up inside of her, though. So you get to see where she comes from, though. As for the other her two girls that come in for now, till later on we get another girl. Sayaka, while she does have love interest in the series that we don't really see much of, though, she does care for him very much. Until in one episode, he starts bitching about some kind of classical music and says to get out of there. Seriously, though, dude, at least Sayaka helps you out and such like that, but my god. And it's really known that he does care for her, but still, that part always bothered me though. Like Sayaka does everything she can to help him out, and then he turns away on her until some other time sooner or later, though. But I think the most bright spot through all of this has to be from Homura into herself, though. Now, without giving too much away, Homura is not all of what she appears to be, though. While she does want to protect her friends and everything, though, she doesn't get taken seriously right away, though. She's really known to have this kind of edgy thing coming into her, though. Though it's also pretty much established that she's doing everything she can to help out, though, for the girls' safety until Cube does whatever he can to do so. Okay, I think it's about time I say this right here and now. You know how most magical girl shows where the mascot does everything to help you out and such like that? You usually have a mascot to do whatever they can to make sure that you can actually defeat these monsters. Yeah, Cube is not everything he cracks up to be. And as such, though, he does everything he can to further grasp that the girls should give in and everything like that, though. And while I admit his design is pretty cute and all that stuff, that design does not fool you in any regard until you start watching the series for yourself, though. It wasn't until almost midway through we do get to see more insight into him, and I have to admit, that really still chills my spine to this day, though. But we do get to see the other girl that does so already to help some of these girls out. As such, Kyoko. Well, I say because honestly, though, Kyoko Sakura is really her name, but I'm just gonna call her Kyoko because there are just too many Sakuras to name apart there. Now, Kyoko herself is really one girl that I think actually it does seem to be one that I think we kind of misjudged her at first glance, though. See, at first glance, you would think that despite being really a fiery and a tomboyish personality, she would act like this, though. But honestly, despite her self-censor, her personality, though, she actually does show she does care for her her friends. Indeed, though, it's really revealed that she actually has a father that has a church there, and when they go there, no one takes her father seriously, though. And as you can tell from there, though, she just wants people to go to church and stuff like that. Also, she has this habit of eating constantly every time she's in a scene or anything like that. It's not that she's very hungry. It's not that she doesn't do this just for the lulz, though. She's doing this because she used to live on the streets herself, though. But I get why some people would say that. So she would do so already, though. I think what really sets her for me to like her a lot more is how much she really grows as a character for the other characters. But for some reason, while being a tomboy like Sayaka, surprisingly, she really gets along with Madoka a lot more, though. So, yeah, I have to say, though, that's pretty much for what it's worth, though. And it's even more evident when you realize how much it would have been, though. I hate to spoil stuff for you, but later on, though, she decides to sacrifice herself just so she can have find both peace in death and make sure uh, that Psycho does not die alone, though. But that's the thing about this year's series. These girls, despite how much they try to do their best to help each other out, end up mostly sacrificing whatever they can out of themselves. And I think it has a lot to do with the overarching story when it comes right down to it, though. I'm not trying to grudge the series for that. If anything, no, it does whatever it can, no. But to tell you the truth, though, I kind of like it when girls actually do whatever they can to do whatever they have, though. It's more like what happens if these girls actually did whatever they could, though, for themselves and to risk whatever it can, though. And it's even more so when you realize that it's really worth love for whatever it has, though. Now, before you say anything, no, I know I've been talking more about the girls and about what the series is like and everything, but really, that's what the series is like in a lot of ways, though. In one hand, you could say that it's really made to show that there's a lot of dark edge here and there, though, but I'd argue that dark edge can work if you have a series like this. Though it's pretty sad when you realize that a lot of the series doesn't really have much to follow up for it, though. Like, let's put it this way. I mentioned Magical Girl Site earlier, and honestly, though, while that series is supposed to be a magical girl show to show the dark edges, though. What sets it apart from that series to this series is that that series in itself takes way too much hard time to make you think about the characters while still progressing from that, though. It's also worth pointing out that these characters weren't supposed to be over the top what they are supposed to be, though, until much later on, though. But when it comes to Monica Magica, I think what sets that's that series apart from this series is because Magica Monica does things that you wouldn't expect them to do so already, though. And to be honest, I still love this year series. Even if, yes, it's not going to appeal to everybody, and what's more, it is one of the more darker series I've taken a look at, though. It's actually a lot more than what meets the eye, though. If you can get past all of this, though, I can't really say I can't recommend it, though. I could tell you about the voice acting in of itself, though, but really the voice acting consists of voice actors you've probably heard of before now. I already mentioned them before, but let's go over them again, if anything to judge by, though. Madoka, Madoka is voiced by Christine Marie Cabanos again, so we have yet again Mako and Sailor Saturn doing this year's series with another Magical Girl series. Sarah Ann Williams is voice his Sayaka. And I didn't mention her before in the Kill la Kill review, but yeah, she voices Nono in that series too. But I don't know her too much from other places because, well, I don't watch a lot of stuff with this actress involved though, but she does do a pretty good job for what she does in here though. So there's that though. We also got Christina V again, who, as always, does an excellent job voicing characters. She voices Homura in this series, and I gotta say, that's quite astonishing for what it's worth, though. If you can be like that, anyways. Kiri Kane voices Mommy, and I gotta say, out of all the characters I've heard, I think this one might be the most unnoticeable one I've heard her because, unlike the other characters I've heard her from, like Satsuki from Kill la Kill and as such, though, Kumi go from Goku-sen. This is one case where I actually don't mind her voicing a character that's somewhat bound a little more than that. I know she voices Misato in the Netflix dub of Evangelion, but honestly, I'm sticking to the ADV or Sentai filmed work. That dub, thank you very much. And let's not forget that's Lauren Landa, who voices Kuyoko in this year series. And I gotta say, though, I haven't seen a lot from her, but my own exposure to her from watching these year dubs would have to be Sailor Neptune from the Viz Media dub. So I don't know too much about the roles she's played in. Or if I had heard her voice before, it's probably so rare I couldn't further grasp where she's from. And finally, Q is voiced by Cassandra Lee Morris, who voiced a ton of characters that are way too much for me as is, but a lot of people would probably know her for voicing in the Danganronpa series, as well as some others. There's that voice along the way, though. Okay, so now that I've told you about the stuff about this here series, is there anything I don't like about the series? Well, I will say, though, there's not much I could say I don't like about the series, except for one thing. How Madoka doesn't become a magical girl until the last episode. Well, I say the last episode, but from what I can tell in episode 10, it looks like an alternate timeline. She it was a magical girl, but yeah, I'm not kind of making any bets if that was true or not. But considering that Homura was going through major hell, I might have to feel really sorry for what she has been going through a lot lately, though. And honestly, there's not much I can say about it until say the ending. I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but the major part of this is that it did cheer me up inside me, though. So yeah, that's all I have to say about Madoka Magica. And while this wasn't the video I was hoping to do, though, I did want to do it though because hey, I binged through it yesterday on Mother's Day, so I decided why the hell not. It's definitely not a series for everybody, but if you can get past the cutesy art style and as well as having the dark edges here and there, you really can't go wrong with this series as is though. Next time, however, we're gonna look at well, not just one, but we're gonna look at a two-parter for my clampathon when it comes right down to it, though, for Magical Girl Month. But one of them we're gonna cover is going to be about a card captor. So as such, though, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, stay flamingo-tastic. See you people later.